Today we're going to be talking about, this is the third series of tutorials regarding custom tables, and today we're going to focus on importing the data. But before I get to that, any questions from anybody here who's been on the last 2 weeks with regards to anything we've done so far, from creating tables, creating the fields, designing layouts? Okay, so far so good. Okay. So today we're going to focus on importing. And with importing data, there's going to be two ways to do this. One way is going to be importing data from the contact table itself. And then another way is from an Excel file, from an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so depending on how we get the data for our clients, we'll have to pick one of the two ways to import the data. So the first way is if they had the fields already within the ACT system, within the ACT contact page. And everybody can see my screen, right? The ACT page, I have the insurance original tab. Anybody cannot see that?
Michael, the resolution is pretty substandard.
Okay. Is it blurry or high, low?
It's just hard, it's hard to read the text labels.
It's blurry.
It's blurry?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see what I can do here. It looks fine here, but let me see if I don't know if that's going to change anything. Did that change anything on your guys' side?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you.
But can you actually see the screen? Because it looks very big on my side. It looks like we're scrolling all around, correct?
Yeah, really we've just seen a portion
okay.
of it. Yeah. Actually, the way you had it before, once I maximized my window on my screen, it worked a lot better.
All right, let me go back there
then. That's not great, but then as soon as I maximize the window, which means I can't do other things at the same time, but that's okay.
You should be doing other things. You should focus on this meeting.
Exactly.
Focus on.
Exactly. I set you up for that.
There we go. Perfect. All right, so let's move forward here. So once again, two ways to import. We want to import either through an Excel file or through the ACT interface itself. So what I've done here, if you look at this insurance original tab. So typically people, before custom tables came around, this is how people would track their data within the ACT database. Now, I just created 2 rows of data, but typically in your customer's database, when you're going to see this, you're going to see maybe 5, 10, 15, 20, who knows, maybe even more rows of data, okay? So for this example, I just created 2 just for sake of time. But basically, what you'd have to do is an import for each row of data that you see there, okay, within the contact table. So in this case, we have to do 2 imports. So what I'm going to do is do a lookup of the, because the nice thing is when it's only going to import people that have data in there, or your current lookup of data. So if you have a database of 10,000 records, but you only have data on maybe 200 records in those fields, you can import just those records, because you don't need to go through 10,000 records to import data that's not there. Okay, it's going to save you a little bit of time. So typically what you want to do is just do a lookup on each of those fields that just contains data. I think I just put it on 2 people in this database. So there's 2 records in this database that have data in those 2 fields, in those 2 rows. So I'll just show you those real quickly. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to import this so that it goes to the new insurance tab that we have here. Okay, so once we import it, we should see 2 line items in this section here. Okay, so let's go through that process. So to start the import process, once again, we do our lookup, which we just did, and then we go up to our custom tables menu. Second option down is data import. Important thing to note here is that this only works with 32-bit Office. So if for some reason you do have, if this is grayed out where it says import from spreadsheet, that indicates that you don't have a 32-bit Office and that you have a 64-bit Office installed. So just a word of caution in case that import is grayed out. So we're going to do that one next, but first we're going to do this migrate from contact So what that means is we're migrating the data from the contact table, which is this insurance original tab that we have here. So we're going to migrate from contacts. When we do that, we're going to get this little wizard here. Okay. So first thing we do is we select the custom table that we want the data to be imported to. So in this database that I'm using here, it has 4 custom tables. You choose the one that you want to put into. We're going to go into the insurance table. And now you do have the option to either do all contacts, current contact, or current contact lookup. What I tell people to do when they first do this, if you haven't done this for a while, is just do the current contact, just to give you, because number one, it's going to be really quick because you only have 1 record there, and you're going to be able to make sure that you're doing things properly. What I hate for you to do is do a current lookup of 100 records or 1,000 or more, and then after it's done, you realize you didn't do it properly. Now you have to go back and delete that and redo it, and then you waste all that time of the import. So I just start to do this for the first couple times when you're testing it out. Just do it with the current contact and make sure that you're doing everything appropriately. But in this case, I'm going to do it with the current contact lookup, these 2 records. Hit next. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to map the fields to each other. So on the left is going to be the ACT field. Okay, and when I say ACT field, I mean the sort of the old field that I've used in the past. On the right is going to be the custom table field. And typically, you're going to try to name them the same thing so that everything works out the same. And you know what? I just created these fields today, so I'm going to have to log out of ACT and log back in. So let me do that real quick. I just created these fields before logging out. That's why we're not seeing them in that list there.
Michael, why did you have to log out?
Because I just created the fields about a half hour ago, and the custom tables schema did not see those fields yet because I just created them without logging out and logging back on.
So
sort of similar to like a preferences. Similar to like preferences.
Okay. So you should do that after creating fields as a rule of thumb?
Well, you're not going to have to do this because your customer's already going to have those fields. I just created these fields as tests. Your customer is going to have these fields already in their database.
Okay.
Yeah, in this case. All right, so let's go back up here. Data import, migrate from contacts. We select our table, insurance, current contact lookup. And now we're going to choose our field. Now we should see there they are. Okay, so current carrier. And that's going to go to carrier, current carrier. Okay. So if you're lucky, they should be the same name. If not, you just have to do, typical mapping as you would anything else. So this is probably going to be your toughest challenge whenever doing this, is making sure that you have the fields mapped accordingly. That's why if they're named the same, it's going to make it a lot easier on you.
And Michael, this is Lanny. You'll be able to save this format. Hey.
What was the question? I'm sorry?
You'll be able to save this format. So if you've got like 30 fields and you're building this gradually, you'll be able to save this.
That is a feature request. It's not currently in there though, but yet I'm definitely pushing our developer to do that. I'm not sure if Austin's on. Austin, are you on the call today? I didn't think so. Okay. Yeah, I know it's definitely a feature request. It's not currently in the program. So that's one of the one of the more time-consuming things is you have to do this. You'll see we'll do this again when we come back in here. But yeah, what would be ideal is is not really necessarily save it, because when you do this again, the next field actually is not the same name. If you notice, it has to be a different name, obviously. But if you could just come back in here and maybe say something like similar name fields or something like that, so you can just easily click to the next one, then that would be helpful. Okay, so it's just letting us know, okay, the necessary information has been collected. Press next to begin the migration. And migration complete. Okay, obviously 2 records, gonna be very quick. Not gonna take that long. So let's go ahead and do the second one. So this one's gonna be exactly the same. We're just choosing the field number 2 for each of those fields. So once again, if you had 10 rows of data, you would have to do this 10 times for migrating the data. So while it is somewhat time consuming, this part here, obviously it's not as time consuming as re-entering all the data or exporting the data, cleaning it up in Excel, and then re-importing it via Excel, okay? Okay, so I have all those fields in there. And once again, I'm just gonna go down this list here, and they're all number 2s. Okay, that's all good. Hit next. Once again, just let me know everything's good to go, confirming it, then it goes through that migration. Finish. And now if I go to my insurance tabs here, I'm gonna see for each of these people, there's gonna be those 2 line items there. Double click on it to see more information if I wanted to open up the actual layout. And there's that insurance data that I imported. Okay. Any questions on that part, migrating from the Act contact screen?
Yeah, Michael, this is Lanny. I have another question. When you imported that, is there any, you know how when you import into Act, it gives you sort of a results, here's what it did. I mean, is there any reporting there?
No, not for that. There is not.
Okay.
Yep. But that's definitely a good idea to sort of have just sort of like if something wasn't imported or something like that, or something was, or how many records were imported, like a report or something.
Report, or you know, in the telemagic days, we always had a like if we imported records in and it matched, it would say new records and it would say rejected records or merged records, so you could have some kind of proof that the thing was run.
Gotcha. Okay. Let me report that back to Austin for us. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is from an Excel spreadsheet. Let me show you that file. Here's the Excel spreadsheet. So I have about 33 items on here, and some of them with the same contact a couple times. Okay. So let me go ahead and import that. So it's going to be very similar. It's going to be just a couple little differences. So once again, we go up to Custom Tables menu, Data Import, and now instead of Migrate from Contacts, we're going to select Import from Spreadsheet. So the first difference here is right here, it's asking us for a file that's to import from. So we're going to go ahead and navigate to select that file. I think that's what I needed. Let's make sure. Oh, that. There we go. Okay. And then we need to select the table where it's going to go. So once again, we're going to the assurance table. And now this is going to be a little different here, because when we're migrating from the contact data is already linked because it's on the contact record. So you don't need to tell it what to link to, what kind of unique field to link it from. So when you're bringing it in from an Excel file, you need to have some kind of field that you say, okay, it's got to match on this. So let me go back to my Excel file and show you what I'm matching on. In this case, I'm just doing company and contact. Okay, these two fields here. This is what I'm going to match on. Now, if you have a unique ID, that's even better. So if, let's say you're bringing data in from somewhere else and you have a unique ID and that unique ID field is in ACT, that's perfect because each person has a unique ID that is specific to their record. If you don't, then you're going to need to find something else that's unique, whether it be the contact and company or an email address, customer number, whatever it is. You'll need to find something so that when you're importing it, that ties it back to that particular contact. So we're going to do company, and that ACT field is company, and then also contact. So it's got to match both of these, and when it does it, then it's going to put that custom table data on that contact record. Okay. And then now here, if the field actually matches the name, it automatically links it for us. So that's real nice here when we're doing the mapping, similar to like an ACT import. Okay. During the first import, you really don't need to worry about duplicate checking, okay, because there's going to be no data in that table. But let's say perhaps maybe you had imported something, but you forgot a field or something like that, okay? So what you might have to do is duplicate check on, let's say maybe the group ID number, because maybe you didn't import the type or waiting period the first time. So now what it's going to do is it's going to go through there, and when it matches the group ID number, it's then going to update the type and the waiting period for that specific custom entity type, okay? Once again, this time, a first run of imports, you don't need to worry about. This is a duplicate check on the custom table entity, not the contact record, okay? So just to clarify the two there. So you leave that blank. We're not bringing in the company or contact into the custom table, so you leave those blank as well. These are the fields we're going to import, so that's good to go. Hit next. Because we're not doing a duplicate, we don't need to worry about this. But if you were to do like a second run and you need to worry about the duplicate options, you have three choices. Overwrite data, overwrite only if the field is blank, or just skip it. Don't do anything there. So we'll just leave it. Once again, we're not doing any dupe checking, so we just leave it on as it is. This is our confirmation to begin the import. Hit next to begin, and then it runs through that import. And as you see here, it says, linking contacts, updating map fields, processing row 30 of 34, 31 of 34, 32, 33, etc. Okay. So let me go back to my Excel file and see what we have here. Let's go to, let's look up somebody that might have. So Mitch Brenner. Let's go to his record. So here we go. Here's the 4 insurance items we just imported today, all from that Excel file. Okay, I'll link to Mitch Brenner here. And let's here, we'll look up one more person, look up Leslie Benedict. And then she had 5 on her record, on the Excel file there. And then if we were to go to the whole insurance table over here, we're going to see all those things that were imported today. Okay. Any questions on importing, whether it be from the migrating from a contact or from an Excel spreadsheet? All good. Okay. Once again, what same thing with that we did with the migrating from contacts. When importing from an Excel spreadsheet, what I would probably do is maybe if you had, let's say you had a row or an Excel file of 1,000 records, maybe just create one with the top 5 records on there, import that to make sure everything looks as it should, and then do your full import there. Okay. Before you maybe import 1,000 and you realize you didn't map something correctly or something didn't populate correctly. It's always good to do a test run first with just a couple records to do that import. All right. Any questions at all about any of the things we've covered in custom tables for the last 3 weeks here? Okay. All right. So everybody on my support team, I expect everybody to be experts because we don't have any questions. That's good news. But in serious, this is going to be a huge part of 20.1 when it gets released next month, and this is really going to with everybody pushing this product and everything in the coming months, this is going to be a huge boom. Number one, the sell act, and then also just as far as consulting, okay, because most end users are not going to know how to use this or how to utilize it, let alone how to do any kind of imports or customizations. So that's where us as consultants come into play, and when we can show the user the value in this. Just taking this for example, an insurance broker, they can quickly go to this list and see all of their active employees by just clicking, couple little buttons here, and they're able to see, let me see all my active insurance claims or insurance policies out there. Let me see all of them with a certain renewal date, or let me see all of them with a certain, all the dental ones, all the medical ones, all the life insurance ones. And this is just the tip of the iceberg that we're seeing here with insurance. Obviously, this spans across multiple industries where you can track data for different clients. So this is really just going to be a huge boon to everything that we do with ACT when we deal with customers who have that one-to-many relationship with their customers. So
go ahead.
It's okay. Go on ahead first.
What training have we created, done, whatever, for all the ACCs that are out there, ACT themselves? Do we have any videos that are going to be available? Or, are we expecting to take on the entire support load for Tables4Act?
Well, right now that we have the 3 videos we've done these past weeks, and I'm sure one of them, like a master video, is probably on deck for Greg Davis at some point on the horizon as well. As far as the support load, I'm not exactly sure how that would be a Ken question, I guess, as far as like where where they draw the line between SwiftPage, us, and other consultants with when there's any issues like that.
Right, because my only concern is that we're sending this out there into the world with no references for anybody.
Yeah, and since it's now SwiftPage white labeled, I believe they're going to have people. They'll be the first line of defense when people call them, and then I'm sure we'll be somewhat of a backup if there's specific issues. So,
but basically, what he's saying is because no one else has been trained on it, but the few people in this session, when those calls start coming in to SwiftPage, they have no information except for the 3 little videos.
No, they have information.
Oh, they've gone through training and all that stuff. Okay.
Not specific training per se, but they're getting these videos. Okay. Like I said, that would be I'm not exactly sure, so that's something we'll have to bring up with Ken as far as protocol for that with the training.
If we're expecting it to be as big as we're hoping it, and nobody has any way to support them, we need to be able to expect that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Are we going to have a session that's going to show us the difference between, say, a conversion or an import using support or using Act for Wealth? Because a lot of this applies to those, but there are some differences.
A conversion using support, Act for support?
Like we're going from like a database into one of these things, that the base
Mhm.
for it is is tables. That would be really good to know. So we've got the base for tables now. Okay, this is great. We've absorbed it. We go back. We get more comfortable with it. But there are
Mhm.
differences when you're doing support for ACT or ACT for Wealth.
With regards to, like, are you talking about the importing of data or just using the product itself?
Importing of data. Is there any difference
Well,
with those?
for ACT for support, what are you importing exactly, though? I mean, are you just importing from ACT or from a spreadsheet?
Well, this is what I'm asking.
Okay.
Can
Yeah, I
we
mean,
do
this
can
relates
we do a
to,
session like this where we now have this as the base, but here's how it branches out for these other tools?
I guess I'm not just understanding. I mean, we just did that. So, like, what specifically are you looking to? I mean, if you want to just have those specific tables, we can definitely do that. But it's going to follow the same protocol that we've done today.
So there's no
Instead of an
actual.
insurance table, well, instead of an insurance table, you're importing it to a service table
Okay.
or a support table. Yeah, it's. I mean, the name of the table doesn't mean anything
No,
when doing an import. Yeah.
this is why I'm asking. Was there any difference or any functionality in the beginning of this process that's different from any of the others? If there is, could we do a session that would cover those differences just so that we know?
So are you talking about like somebody who already has Act for Wealth and wants to just go straight to tables because they don't want to pay for Act for Wealth or whatever and transferring that data over? Is there any difference between those? Is that what you're asking?
No, we know that's going to go through a whole conversion process. But say someone who just has a database, so they're not converting out of a specific other ACT-related system. Just they're either A, they've got an ACT database, or B, they've got stuff in a spreadsheet. I was just asking, is there any difference going into anything that's not base tables?
Well, all those, Act for Wealth and Act for Support. I mean, at the base of them, it's tables for ACT. So while they have overlays that allow us to do, the support tickets, or Act for Wealth has, the whiteboard and specific things for that. The base of them is both tables. So you're going to have this custom tables menu, and you're going to be able to import into any of the custom tables that are part of support, which would be service and support. And then Act for Wealth has I believe 5 or 6 custom tables that you have the ability to import from. So yeah, so the difference of it's not going to be any different, I guess, is the best way to answer it.
Okay.
Obviously the tables themselves is still the back end, so you're still going to be able to import directly into those tables. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't quite understand that.
Yep.
The only difference with Act for Wealth, if you're going from advisor, what you may need to do, the importing still, you actually really don't need to import because the tables are really already there because advisor use Top Line Designer. So the custom tables themselves are already there. It's just a matter of, modifying some layouts and maybe renaming some fields, because some people like to have their field names to be something specific versus what we have them in Act for Wealth. So that's really the only difference there. But as far as data import, there's really no data import that needs to be done. It's more of a data manipulation where you need to maybe replace data or copy data from one field to another. So that's really the only thing that with the Act Advisor to Act for Wealth that would need to be done. Because the tables are already there. The tables and fields are there already. So that's something important too to go on. So for anybody who has clients who had used either Impact or Top Line Designer, those custom table programs, the custom tables themselves and the fields, those don't get removed when you uninstall Top Line Designer or uninstall Durkin. They're part of the database. Now you may not see them if you don't have those programs installed, but once you install a custom table program, you're going to see those tables. So for example, let's just use Top Line Designer. You've created 4 custom tables for a client, and they see them with Top Line Designer. You have the layouts all set and everything. They move from Top Line Designer to Tables4Act. They're no longer going to have Designer. They install Tables4Act. They'll see the tabs. The tabs will be there, and the fields will be there if they go into Manage Custom Tables, and they'll see the fields right here for all the custom tables. The only thing they'll need to do is to design the layouts. Layouts are not going to transfer from one program to another because that's the program themselves is how they built the layouts. So you will need to create the layouts from scratch. Now, obviously, you can look at the old layouts in Designer and sort of match it up as close as possible, but they will need to be recreated. It's not something you can just copy and paste, or a config file that you copy and paste is totally different. But the fields themselves, the drop downs, and all that will, none of that changes. Okay. Now, the other thing that might change too as well is that they had some sort of scripting as far as like calculations or any kind of other complex scripting within the tables. That does not carry over. Okay, so the fields, the table names and all that, the parent-child tables, that carries over. Layout scripting does not carry over. So those would need to be recreated when moving from either Durkin or Topline Designer to Tables4Act. Okay. Anything else? Anybody? All good? Okay. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to, Slack, call, email me, whatever. If there's something I can't handle, I'll pass on to Austin. But for the most part, unless it's too technical, I can pretty much get you the answer. Whether you like it or not, depends. You might like the answer though. Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
So, Michael, what I'm curious about is once the new 20.1 comes out, what's it going to look like? Is it going to be available just in the premium version, I'm assuming, or is it going to be in both Pro and Premium?
I believe it's just Premium Plus.
I'm sorry?
I believe it's going to be in Premium Plus. It's going to be like another tier of the Act product line. So there's going to be Pro, Premium, and then Premium Plus.
So it's only going to be available in Premium Plus?
It's going to be included with Premium Plus, I believe, and I'm not sure about this. I would have to check with Ken to be sure on this, but I think they can also buy it as an add-on for the other programs, but I'm not positive on that. So
okay. What if they already have Tables4Act? Is it just they just do what they've always done?
That I'm not sure of. I'm not sure if the renewal date changes or anything like that, because it's a subscription program, so I'm not sure if once the renewal ends, if they have to go to Premium Plus or if they're grandfathered in. So once again, that would be a question for Ken on your KPP calls with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else based on your experience that we should be thinking about or anticipating when the new version comes out? In other words, what are the things we're not thinking about that you, with experience with tables, are thinking, ooh, this could be an issue, or this is going to be good, this is going to be bad? Anything, any insights you might have on that?
I'm trying to think. I think just, people might there might be some confusion if they're already using, Designer or Durkin, why do I need to move? And they really don't need to move necessarily. But, we feel that this is just a better overall product. And definitely speed-wise, it definitely is better in performance. I mean, to be honest, that's one of the reasons why we created this, was because we were using both of those other products, and the speed and performance was just so slow in our large database that we just, we personally found it unworkable. So that was sort of one of the main reasons why we came up with this, developed the program initially about a year or so, over a year ago, I guess, was to improve the performance. So, and we love it. So we use it, day in and day out.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to call it a day here. And, thanks everybody for those people that have been on all 3 weeks, and for anybody who's joined us in between there. I will, once again, this is being recorded, and I will post that recording in Slack so that people can download it if need be. And once again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and we'll get them answered as best as I can. So everybody have a great day. Thanks again for coming and joining.